you kind of changed your name from Manga to Manga Saint Helier at the beginning of this year, and you released all your music. What warranted the name change?
It's just a growth, like, you know what I mean? I didn't want people just to know me for being a member of Roll Deep. I'm still a member of Roll Deep, but I want to be also, you know, just stand out a bit more. Because obviously if you just type Manga in on YouTube or Google, the cartoon's gonna come up, you know what I mean? So I felt like I was getting a bit lost. So I thought I'd add the name on. The name got significance. Then it's my mother's maiden name. And it's just a fresh start for the year, do you know what I mean? So you just done it like that.
You started off the year with a bang. You kind of released 2 songs in January and kind of build off of that. What's been your key to staying fresh in 2014?
I was working before, so that's just always in the studio and just always recording. You know what I'm saying? If you just sit down with songs, like them songs, some of the songs I've released are like a year old, but I've still always working the whole time, so it's just non-stop. So obviously your music's life and life keeps going. So everything you go through, record it. That's how I just do it.
So the UK scene's come a long way from the 90s. Now where do you see it heading in the future?
Just growing, just like it has been doing. It's with the internet now, everything's one place. You know what I mean? I feel like there's scenes, but like I said, I'm in New York right now, and people knew me here. And it's only through internet and things like that they can check it out and really get involved. Like someone from as far as New York, Kenya, anywhere can be part of what we're doing as much as someone from London because of the internet and social media. So it's only going to grow. As long as you've got good music, I can see it growing.
Your first single of the year that came out last year in December was Heartstrings. What inspired the song?
Well, Heartstrings is real life events. It's about being with someone who's really hot and cold, and the reason I like the song so much is because it relates to like everybody. Like everybody's been there where they've been with someone who doesn't know what they want. Like one minute they're all over you, the next minute they won't even answer your calls. So.
Is there an EP to follow up?
Yes.
Is it currently in the works?
Yeah, I just announced my first ever acoustic EP. The release date is, I'm going to announce the release date in a few days actually. Welcome
to Chagua Music. I'm your host, Sam Moko, and I'm joined here with Johnny and Bruce from the Weekend Riot.
Hello!
So hi guys, let's start from the beginning. So how did you come up with the name The Weekend Riot?
Ooh, good question. I remember we came up with it in a Dunkin' Donuts, which is like a coffee place. And
I think everybody knows what
it's delicious. And we came up with it on a napkin. We were just thinking like the something riots.
We just wanted like a name that said something like fun, and that was like us. And we're like, what's fun? The weekend. And what do? You riot and you loot. But we didn't want to be like the looters. So we settled for the Weekend Riot.
I mean, you probably would be making a completely different type of music.
More pirate. Pirate metal. You know?
Pirate metal.
Pirate metal.
It's a whole new thing.
So how did the both of you meet and decide to form a band?
Oh man, we met back in like 2008 when I was like 15 or 16, and Bruce, we just played shows around the same area.
We were in different bands at the time. Played at a bowling alley in like Hamilton, New Jersey, and then we just started talking and just became friendly. And then I recorded his band, and from that, like I started filling in on guitar for his band, and then we were like, yeah, you know what? Like, you're gonna be graduating high school, like let's start a band. So then we went through like a pop punk phase and stuff, and then we were like, you know what? We went in with this producer, he's like, you know, let's change things up, let's be a little more pop, that's what your voices are meant for. And then we changed to the Weekend Riot, and we played our first show in May. So it's been not even a year, but it's been awesome.
So from the beginning and up to now, how has your relationship changed through working together?
Oh man, it's become much stronger, I feel. It's
really weird.
Yeah, it's bordering like weird because we spend so much time together that we say the same thing at the same different.
I see exactly what you mean.
We just like mentally, it's just like we're on the same page, which is great for like when we're on stage. Like we don't have to say anything; we just know what each other are thinking. But it's really weird at the same time because you're like, all right, when we say like when somebody says something, we both answer the same way. We just kind of stare at each other.
Yeah. So it gets weird sometimes, but it's good for when we're working together.
So it's kind of obviously early into 2015, but do you have any new music coming up anytime soon?
Absolutely we do. Yeah. We put up pre-orders for our debut EP a couple weeks ago, so the EP is called Remember This Night. It's a 5-song EP.
Yeah.
Comes out March 9th.
Yes, it does.
And we put out a single, actually. Our second single was Remember This Night. Hi. No, we put out, the second single we put out was Remember This Night. We put out like 2 weeks ago, a week ago. And so when you pre-order the EP on iTunes, you get Remember This Night for free with it, which is pretty cool. And so that's another song. It's like poppy, but indie. It's just like a feel-good, summertime vibe kind of song.
In some ways it's harder because you've said a lot of stuff, like you've covered a lot of subject matter that, you know, is really important to you, so it's hard to find new things to write about. So in that way, yeah, you're right, it's harder, but I do think you figure out how to write well. Like, you figure out what it means to write a strong metaphor, and you know that you can do it. You know what feels fresh, you know what rhymes feel like you haven't been there before, and so you learn certain tricks that you know is strong writing. But yeah, you're right. In order to try and not be a hack and to come up with new stuff, it is difficult. But I do think in general, writing is like playing an instrument. You reach a certain point of proficiency where you get better at it.
Yeah, that was one we got it from our record label, so we didn't have any label. We did an Indiegogo campaign and crowdfunded our entire album. We asked for $35,000 and we raised $150,000, so almost like 5 or 6 times what we asked for. And that was crazy. We were able to do anything and everything that we could possibly imagine doing for our album. So the writing process was just kind of like, oh, I just wrote this song called Just Keep Breathing, let's put it out. And the rest of the band was like, okay, cool. Next month later, it was like, hey guys, I have this song called Find You There. You want to record it real quick and put it out? And they were like, okay. Next month after, here, there's a song called Any Other Way. We should write it and put it out. That went on for 4 singles, Art of War being the 4th single. And they were just like, why don't we just kind of get together for a couple months and do a whole album? And that's when we did the Indiegogo thing, wrote and recorded the entire album. But the writing process was just me pretty much sitting in LA, writing a bunch of music that I was in love with. You know, I love writing music, and once I felt like it was right, I took it to the rest of the guys and I was like, let's do this, it's time, you know, and that's kind of how it's always been. That's the writing process of We the Kings.
I mean, recently I had a crazy experience. I was in Australia on tour. I just got in to Melbourne, and I went and got some pizza with my buddy Mayhem, who I was touring with, and I had a fan who was already in the pizza place, but I didn't know it, and he left, and then he came back and just held up his phone up to the window with my picture on it, with my press shot. And it turns out he went to the show later that night, but he like spotted me in a pizza place, and that was cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to get in the studio and finish our EP as soon as possible, but we also need to get out there.
We need to get out there and show people what we're doing. So you know what? It's kind of easy to balance it out in a way, just because. Well, I think we both figure it's better than being home and doing nothing. Yeah. You know, being on tour, doing this, better than doing something else.
Better than serving tables.
Yeah. So being out on tour or being in the studio, it's both doing the same thing that we love to do.
It's insane. The first year was probably the hardest because we never toured with anyone before. So all as a band, having to live this far away from 6 dudes at all times is like off-putting. You know, it's like it's completely different than what I was an only child. I had 1 dog and he didn't even like me. So like being thrown into that was probably different. But once you get in the groove of it, it just like becomes clockwork. Everybody knows what you need to do. Everybody has their own specific job, their own niche, and we work like a machine now. It's insane.
After about a year, you kind of figured out there's a lot of etiquette you have to learn as far as touring goes and dealing with people on the road. You know, after our first year and a half, we kind of got it figured out, at least the basics.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot. I mean, some are more realistic than others. You know, I can't like bring anyone back from the dead kind of thing. Realistically, I'm a fan of a lot of bands in our music scene. Like I love, like I watch Issues and Crown the Empire every day. Working with either of them would be a dream. Yeah, I mean, there's tons.
Yeah, I would say Issues and Crown also. Yeah.
I love that new generation. Like, I think they're further down that road. You know, they've been around a year or two longer than we have. But I'd like to think we're sort of in that same generation of bands. And I don't know. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of our generation. I think everyone's really talented. And it's cool to watch them grow. That's all. So.